Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2016 BMW M2. Up front is a 3.0 liter turbocharged inline 6 and down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here M2 because this might be one of my favorite cars to ever exist, and I'm excited to share with you guys why that might be. So, a couple of thank yous to the people who made this video possible. First of all, we have Cash for Cars. Cash for Cars wants to buy your car. Whether it's running, non-running, has a good title, salvage title, whatever it is, you can get a free quote from Cash for Cars, and they will pick up your vehicle in less than 24 hours. Our next sponsor is Fixed. Fixed is a Bluetooth OBD2 sensor that plugs directly into your car and pairs to your smartphone. The app allows you to monitor your vehicle's health, it gives you a forecast of issues that might come up, and helps you schedule maintenance and find new parts. Our final sponsor is Conplates. Conplates is a suction cup license plate mount for the front of your vehicle if you don't want to drill one into your bumper. All three of our fantastic sponsors can be found in the description below, as well as videos explaining them further if you'd like more information, but let's get on with the review. So let's get back to that 3.0 liter inline 6. It is the N55 and it makes 365 horsepower, 343 foot-pounds of torque, which is absolutely phenomenal and all you really need in this car. Now, of course, people do modify these. They build the engines and get them to ridiculous horsepower numbers, but I honestly think that the stock horsepower is just fantastic in this car, and it's one of my favorite parts. The 2 Series is the smallest chassis currently offered from BMW. They got rid of the 1 Series. And so the power, I think, is absolutely perfect for the chassis. And I feel like I'm in a little go-kart, where when you start to get up to the M3 and the M4, they start to get pretty large. All right, Sport Plus. That'll do. That'll do. Oh, that'll do a lot. Yeah. Woohoo! Like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed manual transmission. You could either get the 6-speed manual or a 7-speed automatic dual clutch, but I honestly prefer the manual because I get to roll my own gears. Again, this is more of a driver's oriented car, where like when I go up to the M5, that's a big luxury car. This is for driving. This is for back road cruising like now. Oh, just give it a little throttle and you are good to go. Now, last but not least, of course, the M2 is rear-wheel drive, as God intended. Now, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 2 physical gauges. On the left is my speedometer with fuel at the bottom, and on the right is my tachometer with my MPGs down at the bottom. I also do get a little digital readout giving me my outside temperature, odometer, trip odometer, and things of that nature. I love how it says M in the gauges. I like how plain and simple the gauges are. BMW has always done a really good job at this, and the M2 is no exception. On the steering wheel, on the left I have my cruise control options, and on the right I have volume, mode, and phone options. What I love about the steering wheel is how nice and thin it is. It feels great in my hands. I think it's very aesthetically pleasing, and although this car is 5 years old this year, I think it still holds up with modern vehicles, and I love that. To the left of me, I have my headlight switches and gauge dimmer switch, as well as my lane keep assist buttons. And on the door, I do have my power mirrors and power windows, which is not usually common for BMWs to have the power windows actually on the doors. So, little tidbit there. Moving into the center, we do have an infotainment system. I'm not going to talk too much about this. This is BMW's iDrive system, and I've talked about it in so many other videos. Pretty standard here. Besides, I do get performance pages, which is very, very nice. And we'll take a look at the backup camera. Nothing really too crazy. BMW is sort of in this weird middle ground of quality and pixelatedness, so take it as you will. Down below that infotainment system, I have 2 climate control vents, my hazard switch, and my central locking button to lock the vehicle. Then I have my radio controls. I have mode, AM, FM, and volume, but then I get 8 favorite buttons. What I love about BMWs is that their favorite buttons are multifunctional, meaning if you want to set a favorite radio station like in years past, you can absolutely do that. But you can also set Apple CarPlay to be a favorite. So say you hit number 2 and Apple CarPlay will pop up for vehicles where that is capable. Of course, here in the M2 for 2016, it does not have Apple CarPlay, but if it did, you could do that. You could also set these favorites to navigational points. If you go somewhere really far, you have grandparents, family outside of state, hit 7 and it'll navigate you to whatever navigational point you set for number 7. Again, this is all very customizable. Down below that, I have my climate controls. I have my heated seat, as well as auto climate and dual zone, which is very, very nice, even for a coupe. I feel like a lot of coupes don't really get dual zone climate because the cabins are so small, but you get it here in the M2. Then I have a nice little cubby / ashtray, whatever you want to use it for. I don't make decisions for you. Then I have 2 cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test, and unfortunately it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Not only because the cup holders aren't wide enough, which is most cars' issues, but it's actually, the bottle's too tall because the infotainment and climate controls comes out so far. Then we come to the shifter itself. The shifter feel is amazing. Absolutely exquisite. Putting it in and out of gear, it has this nice, satisfying clunk. Similar to that of like when you like pull out a bendy straw. Oh, that feeling. You feel like a god. And that's how I feel shifting this here M2. To the left of that, I do have my traction control off button as well as my sport and comfort buttons. So this does have a couple different drive modes of sport, sport plus, and comfort. What I like about those modes is the fact that when I switch them, the center screen actually shows those driving modes, which is really, really nice. I like that attention to detail from the M2. Then down at the bottom of the center console, I do have my controls for that center screen. So it is not a touch screen. The screen is all ran through this here dial, and I've always complimented BMW. It has great tactile feel. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I think it's some of the best in the game when it comes to the knob down here. I do have a parking brake in center console, and then we gotta talk about the seats. The seats are comfortable. Now they do have higher bolsters than you would find in the regular 2 Series. The 228i or whatever. However, being a big guy, it's hard to fit in these seats sometimes, and I don't really have an issue here in the M2, which is great. I absolutely love that for sure. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we'll make this quick, but the back of the M2 is not great. It is a coupe. My head's hitting the ceiling. I guess if I slouch down a little bit, I'll be fine, but not ideal. I do have 2 climate control vents back here, something that a lot of coupes fail to give. And I do have a little 12-volt outlet down at the bottom as well. I do have a center tray here, meaning that there is no center seat. This is a 2+2, not a 3-seater back here. And that's basically it. Can you take people back here? Yes. If they're larger, I wouldn't recommend it, but it can be done. If there's a will, there's a way. And if it's an M2, there's a back seat. That's a dumb saying. I just made that up. To be fair, the back seat occupant does get a button to move the front seat forward for getting in and out of. So, you know. Let's take a quick look at the trunk, and then we'll talk about the looks. So around the back, here we are. Pop the trunk with a button. And there we have it. It's actually a decent sized trunk. I am pretty happy with the M2's trunk. Is it the biggest thing in the world? No, it's not going to hold a light to a Mercury Grand Marquis, but that's not really the point here. And you do get these nets. Obviously, Peter's very into car detailing, so all of his equipment is back here with plenty of extra space. But I wouldn't expect too much out of the back of a 2 Series. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and again, this is one of my favorite parts of the M2. As opposed to the regular 2 Series, the M2 actually gets wider fenders, wider wheels, and has a slightly wider track as well. I love it. I think it looks awesome. It looks aggressive, it looks beefy, it looks meaty. It is not here to mess around. It is a driver's car. There is a purpose to this car and nothing else. I love the look of it. It's angular, it's mean, and I think it's proportioned really well, which I feel like not enough people talk about. The M2's proportions are just so solid. It doesn't look like the nose is too long. It doesn't look like the trunk is too long. It doesn't look like the doors are awkwardly long or too short in any of those categories. It just looks very well proportioned, and I love that from BMW. But now let's get to my final thoughts on why this is my favorite BMW and one of my favorite cars ever? Well, like we talked about with the looks, I think this car is very well proportioned, and I think it does everything I want a car to do, and it does it very, very well. The power, 365 horsepower, is plenty for me to have enough fun and probably get myself in a little bit of trouble. I love that shifting feel. The 6-speed manual just goes into each gear so smooth, so confidently that it's hard to deny. I love the looks of it. I love the feeling of it. I love the colors that this comes in. Now, white isn't my particular favorite. However, I do love the white with the black wheels. I would probably pick that BMW M2 blue. They have a really interesting blue and a really interesting orange, which I actually reviewed a 2020 BMW M2 competition in that orange. That's what you're seeing on screen right now. That is a hot color. I absolutely love that. But I really love everything about the car. It's hard to find any negatives because every time I step into one of these, the rose-colored glasses are glued to my face. And I think that's true love, because I know this car has flaws, but I honestly, truly just don't see them. There are no red flags in this car for me. This car could punch me in the face and spit on me, and I would say, thank you, M2. That's how much I love this car. I famously hate the BMW iDrive system. I think it's really laggy once it starts to age. I have a couple of friends that have BMWs with iDrive, and they do not age well, but I don't care, because this is an M2. BMW maintenance costs are usually higher than other maintenance costs. I don't care, because this is an M2. I traditionally do not like coupes. I think 4 doors are the way to go with every single car because it adds practicality and it's just smarter. But I don't care because this is an M2. And you know, this might not be the best consumer advice, but sometimes it's not about MPG numbers and practicality. Sometimes it's just about how a car makes you feel. The owner, Peter, which, huge thank you, Peter, for letting me take this out. I've reviewed tons of his cars before, most notably his BMW X5M. And that car is extremely, way more practical. It had more luggage space, it had 4 doors, you could seat people comfortably in the back, but this is just more fun. And sometimes that's more important in life, is having fun, and I'm having a whole lot of it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Peter for letting me take out his M2. This is absolutely awesome. I can't think of a better way to spend a Monday morning than behind the wheel of one of these. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.